Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Morning, brother.
I was thinking this morning, I was out walking the dog and we had to cut our walk short because so many people were out talking and they all want to talk. And I had a revelation this morning that, believe it or not, they know more about what's going on in the neighborhood than I do. They're telling me, did you see this house sold? Did you see what it sold for? Did you see this house sold? This one's coming on the market. I got all the news from all the neighbors today and they're all talking about it. And I started imparting wisdom on them about how nationwide Realogy is reporting a surge from urban to rural areas. And, we're mostly considered Tampa's not a big urban area. So we're going to see a lot of people. And that's why we need a reboot for what's going on in the real world here. There's some really exciting things going on.
Well, let's get into a reboot. What do you say?
I think we should do it.
All right, we're going to do that. All right. So I kind of went through some of obviously creating the slides for this deal. It's pretty interesting. So I like this picture for a lot of different reasons. Number one, this look is what's on most of your faces when we see you. And on ours, a lot of times we're looking through like, what in the world's going on in this market right now? Because it's the best it's ever been. And it is completely a house of cards. And it's amazing and it's awesome. And people are confident and they're freaked out. And listings are flying off the shelf, but then they're not. And people are buying and then they're not. And people are rushing to make purchases and then now they're sitting on the sidelines. And this is all happening every day. So it's got to make you spin your head around. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go get business. And then there's 12 million things you can go do. And it just spins you out of control. I mean, we spend most of our time, Craig, coaching and talking with agents and recruiting and training and coaching and just kind of bringing people focus, right? And what it all comes down to is this bottom picture is the focus that's needed right now to just make sure that you focus on something. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of a reboot. And for those, there's actually quite a number of people here who haven't had a lot of exposure to us, which is pretty interesting and kind of fun. So quick little update as to where you are, right? We've got a ton of our ages there, and I'm Jeff Beggins and my brother, Mr. Craig Beggins. And we have a company called C21 Beggins Enterprises. Most of you are working with us and we're proud to have you on it. A lot of you are with sister companies inside the C21 brand. Some of you are just checking us out to see kind of what we're like, to see if you want to maybe explore working together. All kinds of people on this call, and it's a lot. We've got a lot, several hundred people registered, and it's filling up fast right now. So welcome, and thank you guys for taking your time to be with us. So quick history, Craig, you start. Just do a brief summary of who we are and what's going on before we jump right into this one, because you guys got to know, we know what we're talking about, and we're going to help you guys get to that next level. So bring us up to speed, Mr. Beggins.
Well, let's go back to 1973, where our dad, Jim, was the general manager of a real estate company called Tarno Realty, which was the largest real estate company in Miami. And at that time, Century 21 was created in California and decided to create a new thing called a franchise. And they jumped from California to Florida, and they went to the biggest market in Florida, which was Miami, and found the biggest brokerage in Miami, which was Tarno Realty, and said, hey, why don't you guys buy the master rights to Century 21 for Florida? And long story short, Dad and his broker and got another investor, and they bought Century 21 of real estate of Southern Florida and began turning Bill Smith Realty into Century 21 Bill Smith Realty. And over the next 10 years, they did that 320 times, and they had 320 Century 21 franchised offices from Orlando to Key West and 4,500 salespeople. And Dad is not one for standing still. So he sold the company to his partner in 1983, moved the family from Miami to Tampa, and we ended up in Town and Country. And Dad became a real estate developer, and he found 83 acres of waterfront property in Apollo Beach, Florida. So he started a real estate company called Symphony Realty. And we had a Symphony Builders, and we had Symphony Realty Development Company that put the roads in. The builders built the houses, and the real estate company sold the stuff. And at that time, I was approaching 18. So I got my real estate license at 17, which I had to be 18 to take the test. I didn't actually take the test until I was 20. I was at college. And graduated from college, and Dad said, get your broker's license. You can have half of the real estate company, which was called Symphony Realty. And that was 1991. So we opened up in 1991. Hired a couple agents, went out knocking on doors, got some listings, built a really good relationship with a home builder named Rick Remke, whose dad owned a Remke Realty, Century 21 Remke Realty franchise that he bought from our dad. Rick Remke came to me and said, hey, I like being a home builder, and the real estate brokerage business is kind of boring to me. Why don't you buy my real estate company? So I called Dad and said, what do we do? He says, buy it. So full circle, Dad sells in 1983. 1992, we buy a Century 21 franchise of all things. And 1992 is a different age than what we're in today, because the dial-up modem just started becoming popular, and they were starting to switch from MLS books to MLS terminals where we could actually input our own listings on the MLS. And so that's how long we've been doing this. So from MLS books to the internet with DOS monitors and programming to full-on internet where now the neighbors know more about the houses than you do. And then we just became Century 21. And back then we didn't have the internet. So training was done, you got in a car and you drove across the state to the training centers in Fort Lauderdale. And we built relationships with people. And Craig Sweeting was a broker in Sun City, and we would go get juiced up and trained by Century 21, learn what to tell the agents to do, come back and try to get them to do it, and they wouldn't do it, and we'd get frustrated, and we'd go back and forth and back and forth. So a couple of years of that, and Craig Sweeting says, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna be an agent, why don't you buy my company? I was a little younger. And so I said, okay. So we bought Sun City Center office in 1996. Similar thing happened with Steve Isles with Century 21 Gulf Beach Realty with Indian Rocks and Madeira Beach. And we just became the acquirer. Now we're with 8 locations from Sarasota to Indian Rocks Beach. We got about 400 fantastic agents in the marketplace. We do about 2,700 transactions a year. And I think we've totaled, I haven't added the number, but somewhere in excess of 40,000 real estate closings. So that's the experience you've got coming your way.
So basically what we've done now is we're going to talk a lot about goals and where we're going and what we're doing. And we're just like you guys. We have visions, we have ideas, we have dreams, we have plans, we have things that we're going to do and accomplish. And it's as tough for us as it is for you to have those goals and be ready for it all. So that's what we're constantly doing. And now we've just decided to grow the coolest real estate company that's ever been created, surround ourselves with really awesome people. And by default, we're going to become the largest Century 21 company in the world, and we're going to have a really good time. So we've got some of you with our new location. That's actually not a location, which is kind of fun. And we're just enjoying ourselves. And that's the whole point, is actually having some fun and making some money and enjoying ourselves along the way. Now, what happened is life. And we have things that are happening to us. I'm pulling up our slides as we're talking, that we didn't expect, right? None of us watching this when we were ready to go on New Year's Day, thinking about our 2020 business plan, ever expected that we would have happened what's happened to us in the last 6 months, right? There's just no way. So what we're able to do is adjust and figure it out. We recreate ourselves nonstop. So Next Level U is always a 3-day adventure. It actually was 4-day, now it's 3-day. But we broke this one down into 3 days, but hour-long segments across the board on purpose. Number 1, because attention span, right? Number 2, we're busy. Number 3, you get to pick what you want to see. Now this screen here with all these traffic lanes and all these different destinations, every one of these lanes, and there's a couple hundred lanes represented in this picture, which is relevant to real estate right now. Every one of them will take you somewhere, right? You will end up somewhere on every single one of them. And it's fine. But if you want to go somewhere specifically, you need to follow a path, follow a system. And that's what this is all about today. So we're going to talk about rebooting. And I use that term on purpose because if you reboot your computer system, you're reloading it. You're totally redoing it. The old one that you have, guys, is irrelevant. And these are the slides you guys can read along with us too. And we're going to record this and we're going to send this out to you so you don't have to worry about a ton of notes, rather you pay attention and focus here. So
let me just do a couple confessions.
Here we go.
Sounded great.
It's recorded, be careful.
Well, we do 2,700 transactions. We have 400 salespeople, but the truth of the matter is 60% of the sale of the 400 people are making less than minimum wage or nothing, right? And I think everybody who got into real estate and spent the time to take the course and pass the test and pass the state exam and join the board and go through all that expect a return on their investment. But as good as we are as a company, and I will back up that we are damn good as a company, to have 60% of the people earning less than minimum wage or nothing is wrong, right? And I think it's our fault for hiring them, or I think it's our fault for not inspiring them. So the BE3 logo at the top right of the screen is B is for Beggins, E is for enterprises. And then it's really E to the third power, which our concept is empower, educate, and encourage. So we want to empower you. And some of that's going to be changing your mindset, because you can have more. You deserve more. We don't know how you were raised, where you came from, what you were exposed to, but there's a better life out there. And this channel, Real Estate Sales, will help you get there when you pick a channel and follow it, right? But the 60% of people that are below minimum wage, I'm not proud of the industry for that. And that's not our company. We're better than most. So just remember, we're here. This is the empower part. This is, you can do this when you focus on this. And we're gonna be very prescriptive on what to do, which most brokerages are not, right? So join us on this path. And then the coolest thing, can I tell my story just real quick? The agent that I told you about over the weekend?
Yes.
That I had my child when I was 18, a senior in high school. My family was always poor growing up. She has all this mental baggage that she had. And she's worked for us for probably 5 or 6 years now. And over time, she sent me an email last week and it brought almost tears to my eyes, letting me know, she said, thank you so much. My life has changed. At the time, she wanted to buy a new car and her boyfriend told her she couldn't afford it. Her career wasn't strong enough. She couldn't do it. And she really wanted it. We went to a Mike Ferry event together and hung out a little bit, and she bought her new car. She sent me an email last week. I just want you to know I paid off my car. I bought a new car for my son. I paid off all of my credit cards. I've got more cash in my bank account than I've ever had before. And my whole life is better now. Thank you. And that's what we do this for. And it became evident, and it started when we started the lane training. She not teamed up with, but she partnered up with another agent. They went their own different routes, but they stayed on schedule together and did the same activities. And both of them have just gone. So we know what has to happen to get you there, but we got to empower, educate, and encourage you to do it. So pay attention to this reboot section. And then the rest of the 3 days is going to be specifically taking you on a journey.
And they build on each other. And that story that Craig just told is really the driving force of what we do. This is an exciting career, but it's frustrating. And a couple things. The average agent in the US.
Add to that, we take them to that point. She was here and she got to here. Well, she's not done here. We're gonna go talk about investment properties and secondary income sources and all kinds of different things as she progresses. Now that it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. She's just progressing up the cone. And it's a fun journey.
And it took 5 or 6 years to do that. And one of the biggest issues is our mindset and our mental capacities and our doubts, our fear and anxieties, and our BS that we tell ourselves too, if we're honest with each other, right, on what's going on. The average agent in the US is doing 4 deals a year, right, which is, to Craig's point, not good, right? You certainly can't support a lifestyle on that. Now you can augment a lifestyle. And the issue is a lot of people in this business are happy bringing in 20, 30 grand a year, right? And which is, their prerogative, and that's great. But there's a lot of us, and I'm betting that's most of us on this call today and investing in ourselves, that decide that we want to have a different level of lifestyle. And that's not necessarily money. It's an altering of a lifestyle, if you want to think about it. Now, the agent you're talking about has not always been super strong. She was kind of hanging out, kind of going through the motions, doing a deal here and there and being okay. And something happened to force it. Something happened to make things change. And something happened to be a catalyst that she got empowered, educated, encouraged, and confident and competent. And all those things come together to push to where she wants to be, right? The interesting thing about this business is we are now working our asses off, right? Everybody in this industry that's working, they're really working because everything's changed. because our old business plan is totally different than it was before. Our old next level use, pick your lane, do your thing. There's more business than ever, it's not the same anyway. I labeled it DC and PC during COVID and post COVID. Guys, we're still DC. There's still COVID. There's still pandemic. There's still states shut down, lockdown. There's still issues out there. We need to be relevant. We need to really think about what's going on right now, but it's different. Our market's different, but it's totally simplified itself. And that's what I'm excited about, is us all being focused on what's going on. Because here's what I'm noticing. The lookers that were clouding up a lot of our time, they're looking, but they're chilling more, right? They're not really physically looking. They're just kind of clicking and pointing around right now. So what we're spending our time with is the real regular person real estate, because regular person real estate is what pays the real bills. These are people that have to buy a house. These are people that have to sell a house. These are people that have to do something. They're getting married. They're having kids. They're getting divorced. Life is going on. They lost their job. They got to transfer. They're working from home. They want a smaller place. They want a bigger place. It's called life, right? That is what's driving our world right now. And I'm glad that it happened, because it allows us to simplify and really focus in on what we're doing now. The other states of the union right now is supply and demand is crazy right now. It's the strongest market, Craig. I think you would agree we've really had, and I see different dynamics that I've never seen before, is people have the strongest purchasing power than they've had, I won't say ever, but in a certain longest period of time anybody here can remember, right? Your purchasing power is out of control. Now, seller market, it's the strongest seller market we've had in a long time, because supply and demand, it's inventory. We have the lowest inventory and the strongest buying purchasing power, which those are interesting dynamics. So now we have a buyer and a seller market, right? Kind of coming together. Buyers are they have so much money, they can pay more, they can do more, and sellers can demand more. It's an interesting time. And we've been talking about this one since we just got hit with the whole Corona thing, is the surge is coming, the party's coming, the party's here, right? But it's just getting ramped up, and it will end. It's a long party. It's a rave, right? And that's what's coming on right now. And it's going to last, but it's going to end. And I want everybody here that's in our tribe to be totally prepared and ready to just absolutely take control over what's going on. So we focus in bite-sized pieces. Yeah, we do the 5-year visions and all that stuff are great, but they're a little irrelevant at this weird moment that we're in right now in time. So all we're focusing on is quarter by quarter. And so I'm going to stretch the quarter by a few weeks, and I'm going to say we're really focusing on between now and September/October, because if we can control that, we're going to see the market to be the way it is, most likely, between now and then. Now we have elections coming up. We have all kinds of X factors that are out there that we're probably going to get hit with between now and then. But right now, the market, the way it is right now, is likely what we're going to see for the next couple of months. You agree with that? So knowing that that's there, I want to hit on one premise real quick, and it's the last line on this slide right here. Before you can cause anybody to take action, okay, you have to have their attention and their trust. Right? Before you can make anybody take action, you have to have their attention and their trust. Now, for you guys to get to take action, we have to get your attention, and you have to trust us. Now, most of you work with us. That's a partnership, right? We're vested. We make money when you make money. You make money, right? It all comes together so we can work together. But when we're talking about growing your business, it's all about getting their attention and having their trust. So let's continue there. I wrote down here, if you plan to be in this business for the next 3+ years, I need you to pay attention. If there's some of you, and we love you, that are planning to not be in the business 3 years from now, then you can just kind of enjoy this, eat some popcorn and relax, but you can kind of coast through. Okay, if you're retiring or getting out of this industry, you do not require a major shift in your business. But for those of us who rely on this gig of real estate to support our families and to thrive and get things going, shit's about to get real. It really is. And we need to pay attention here. So you need to take control of your business and own it right now, or you're going to face being irrelevant. And I'm not joking. And I can't say this any more powerfully than we're saying it right now. You're going to be over, your career is going to be finished, and you're going to be in deep, deep trouble. Okay. And listen, we're your partners. And if you're in trouble, we're in trouble. So we don't want you in trouble, because we don't want to get in trouble either. Okay. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about some of the options. Real estate's rosy. Real estate is a huge segment of the gross domestic product of the United States of America. right? When we trigger a real estate transaction, lots of wheels, lots of cogs go into motion and things happen. The investment arm, the Wall Street, is looking at our industry saying it needs disruption. And they think that the algorithms and stuff are going to put us out of business. That's not the case. We are actually more relevant now than we have been in the past, but we have to be upping our game. You've got Open Door, you've got OfferPad, you've got Purple Bricks, which is now defunct after losing billions of dollars. You've got all these different things. You've got Zillow with whatever plan Zillow's got going on. You got Realtor.com buying Op City. You got all these little things packing around and people picking at us back and forth. But that's where Jeff's point on trust is so important. So aligning with a brokerage like us and us aligning with a real estate brand like Realogy are part of those components that help you build the trust so you can compete in this crazy world where there's money flowing everywhere and all kinds of wacky ideas.
No doubt about it. Because I think you could see what's going on is it's attention. As I said these words, attention and trust. What's happening, guys, and really pay attention for a second. How do you go about your day right now, right? It used to be back in the day, right, where you had a few channels of information to get your stuff from, right? You had your TVs, right? You had your multiple channels. You had your popular pop culture things. Everybody watched the must-sees. Everybody did that stuff, right? You had a culture that was pretty much stable and watching the similar things. Right now, right?
The time at which you had to watch it.
That's right. If you missed it at 8 o'clock, you were screwed. You didn't get to watch it again. So maybe 6 months from now, a rerun, you might catch it, right? But now nobody has anything standard. Everybody's watching their own thing. Everyone's streaming their own music. Everybody's reading their own thing that they want to read. And there's something to find to support your beliefs, no matter what your beliefs are. And so people going down all kinds of rabbit holes left and right, and they just are where they are. But their attention is so fragmented and so scattered right now, it's hard to reach them. Okay, so it's tough. So we have to gather attention. And then once you have their attention, you need to build trust. And we're going to go through all the sales skills, all the abilities to make sure that once you got to capture their attention, then you got to build the trust. And then you just have to be top of mind when they actually conduct a real estate transaction. So that's what we're going to focus on here today, is that, because here's what's coming, guys. And we're going to talk about, and Puma's going to walk you guys through this afternoon and tomorrow and the next day, all different levels of engagement, all different levels of contacts, all different levels of just connecting to people. Because here's the future of every industry, by the way. Every business is going to voice. It's 100% going to voice searches. And it's going to be, who's the best agent in Panama City? I need to sell my house. Who's the strongest listing agent? Or better yet, if you're Susie Smith and you've done a great job building your brand locally in the Shady Oak subdivision, they're going to say, call Susie Smith, right? And you're going to just pop up. So those of you who are looking long-term to build a brand and be relevant and stay here, you have no choice but to be able to push content out there that's relevant and engaging, because the algorithms are going to search out the future. AI is going to take over the world, and the algorithm is going to search for relevant contact and engagement. Right? So that's why we're pushing out as much as we're pushing out. That's what we're going to teach you to push out a whole bunch of stuff too, because when things change and when things evolve, it's going to be the last people standing are the ones who are pushing out content and relevance and actually engaging in a certain marketplace. Okay. And it's your marketplace to own whatever marketplace you want. So we're going to be talking about that. And those of you who are relying on your past clients and your sphere, they're being hit on and whispered into their ears nonstop every day, all day, and it's just going to get worse. So if you're not cultivating and re-engaging with everybody, you don't own your past clients anymore, guys. It's over. They are sitting there scrolling, and somebody that's more entertaining, more engaging, and has funnier stuff to say or something more relevant is going to stop that scroll. They're going to read it, and they're going to watch them, and then they're going to start being retargeted, and they're going to get constantly hit by messages. And then when it comes time to buy or sell, they're going to forget about you selling them the house 3 years ago. Guys, it's happening. So we have to totally change our mindset. We have to totally change our business practices if you plan on being in this industry, right? In 3 years from now. Now, you're fine in the next couple of years, things aren't going to be dramatically different, but the algorithms are building, the relevance is building, everything is coming to that point. You guys follow what I'm talking about? That's why it's a reboot. It is a total organization of your operating system and how you're actually running your business. Because it's trust. And Craig, I think this is one of the things we've been pushing nonstop. Familiarity equals trust. Familiarity equals trust. Now, there's a lot of you that we haven't ever met personally, but you've seen enough of our stuff that we're familiar, and that we have some credibility with our successes, and that we relate with you at some level, so that equals trust. So familiarity equals trust. So how do you engage? No, go to a social setting. You're not going to engage in a conversation unless you have trust in the person that you're talking with. You guys all know it. Can you not ghost on somebody if you think that they're weird or they're creepy or you don't want to talk with them? Absolutely. You do it all the time. So are your customers doing it to you, okay? So you need trust to engage in a conversation. You need to have a connection to engage in a real connection. And it's taken a minimum of 20 exposures to gain familiarity, guys. 20 exposures, 20 exposures, 20 exposures. So this is your past clients. This is your sphere. And I joke, I laugh sometimes when we're in coaching sessions, like, I posted something about real estate last week, okay, but my sphere is not reaching out to me. No, they're not going to, because that's one or two contacts. You have to be almost brainwashing the message nonstop to be able to penetrate through all the other messages that are bombarding people's minds all day long. So we've got to consistently get exposures to gain familiarity. And we're going to talk a lot about social because it's free, most of it. And the engagement is there, and it's easy to connect and engage and post and comment and like and share and just become top of mind inside of whatever niche or group you want to actually infiltrate. That's going to give you.
At the same time, there is still room for non-social contacts, but I think you're going to reach far more people that are socially connected. And Jeff and I talk about this a lot. I am not social. If I go on Facebook once every 2 weeks, that would be a lot for me. So I'm a marketer's nightmare because they can't reach me, right? But I still get bombarded by ads. So I'm affected by it, and I run into people who tell me what's going on because they're affected by it. So it's all out there, but still communicating with people. That's really all we're talking about. And this is it. So if you're not a people person, you're not going to have fun in this industry, because that's all we're doing is communicating with people, whether you do it in person, by phone, by mail, by social, by some way, shape, or form. I think you can do it by hanging out at the gas station. Just wear your gloves and keep your hand sanitizer, right? In today's crazy world. But it's just communicating with people. And then what Jeff's going to show you is the way you communicate with them effectively to build trust. And that's where the secret sauce lies within our organization is.
When we bring Chris in, Chris is going to join me.
We're reintroducing sales to the real estate business. Most real estate people are not salespeople. And if you pay attention, you're going to see their sales skills that we're teaching. And when you implement those skills, your rapport is going to go through the roof.
Now, let me clarify this too. This is not just a social conversation. This is not just social media I'm talking about. This is you farming, right? Which we're going to have a great farming session. I'll go through the agenda in just a second. This is everything. If you're talking to your past clients, I'm talking about familiarity. You can't just send a once a quarter little recipe postcard with your face on it, guys. It doesn't work anymore. It used to, it doesn't anymore, right? You can't just do that and rely on it. You can try, but you're going to watch your sphere go to somebody else. You're going to watch your past clients go to somebody else, because somebody else is going to take control, not just socially. They're going to mail more often. They're going to knock more often. They're going to be in that market. If you're a for sale by owner hunter, you've got to change your relevance and up your contacts and frequency, familiarity, and trust, right? The one hit wonder knock on the door and they're not ready to list, guys, it's not going to work, right? It's the video text, it's the mail. We're going to hit FSBOs and expires in depth too over the next few days too. Talking about everything we do requires familiarity, trust, and consistency and repetition, right? Repetition. And we're going to go back to basics. We're going to go hardcore on it. We're going to go back to talking with people, because that's what the name of the game is. And because here's where it's going to come down to. When they have trust, now pay attention, guys, this is the whole key to this industry right here. When they have trust, they're going to transact naturally, okay? Very important. Trust equals a natural transaction. Okay, when you don't have trust, that's where people have their shady sales skills, right? You think you're going to have a magical script or a little super line or some type of graph. There's nothing that's going to do that, right? It's not going to, you're not going to be a slick willy salesperson. If you don't have trust, they're not going to transact with you. And when you do have trust, it's going to be a natural outcome as a transaction, and you're not going to have to sell because your sale was creating the connection, which created the trust. Okay. So it's the natural consequence. It's not a forced outcome. It's not. This is just going to happen. They're going to have you firmly placed inside their brain as the person they trust most in a real estate transaction to have their back. And as soon as you're lodged in that position in their brain, you win. Because it might not be a week or 2 or 3 or a year or 3 years from now. As long as you're consistently in that message, you own that trust part of their brain. And then when life happens and they need to sell or buy something, you're going to be the person they trust. That's the whole name of this game. Because over time, they're going to become inherently convinced, right, that you're the right person. And that's what's going on. Once they become convinced of your expertise, you're going to be top of mind. And the whole goal is the last line here, and I see it and I hear it all the time. God, I feel like I know you, right? I feel like I know you already. I've seen your information all over the place. Just go ahead and I'm hiring you, take my money, right? That's what ends up happening. And that's where we're going to get to, is just making sure you're rebooting. So here's what we're going over for the next few days, and they build on each other. This is a foundation moment, okay? Right here. This is step one. We're going to prepare to get the business, okay? There's not a whole lot of closing skills or any of that stuff happening today because it's premature. We're going to get our mind right. We're going to get our focus correct, and we're going to get simple on what we actually want to accomplish over the next 90 days. That's what today is all about. Tomorrow is about how we're going to find the business, right? Where we're going to find it, all the different paths we're going to be able to go down to. And then the third day is how we're going to close the business. And that's going to get into the details of the listing presentations, the buyer presentations, contracts, negotiations, and tips and tricks on that. And so we've built this specifically to build on each other and just kind of grow. So it's different than you've ever seen before. If you've ever been in next level universities before, this one is definitely different. We switched it up. So to Craig's point, you have to leverage your partners. Guys, we do pretty well. Our company is almost 30 years now. We've got a ton of transactions. We got a great group of agents. We're growing every day, and life is good on that aspect. But when we're on a presentation, we don't just talk about that. Okay, that's an important part of the pillar to our presentation. But we do talk about our brand because it's a freaking badass brand. And there's things that C21's doing that smoke the other brands, right? And that's just what we do.
Too, Jeff. Like in December, Dad and I were invited to China to address the national conference. Century 21 does more transactions outside of the United States than they do in the United States. Century 21 has 6,000 offices in the country of China. We have 2,400 offices in the United States.
Well, the world's bigger than the United States. Yeah, right. That's what global.
But would you tell that to a customer? We do more transactions outside of the U.S. than we do in the U.S. That puts you on a whole separate playing field.
That's right.
But
that's the leverage, right? So we leverage Century 21 as a brand, which is awesome. And then we leverage Realogy, which is the parent company of our brand, which is amazing. So Realogy, just as a refresher, when you're on a presentation, whether it's a recruiting, whether it's on a listing, or whether it's on a buyer, or just building trust, right? To let them know what's standing behind you and having your back is ridiculously awesome, right? Realogy as a parent company owns the brand Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, Better Homes and Gardens, Sotheby's, Cochran, Climb, all kinds of different things. The Cardis, the relocation program, it's a big ass company. What about a third of every transaction in the US comes through the doors of our parent company? That's big. So that should you need to leverage that. Okay, now let's pretend you're a new agent, you've done 3 deals. That's not impressive, okay? It's good, it's better than no deals, but it's certainly not impressive. And your best friend, who has the largest financial transaction in their life coming down the pipeline, isn't that comfortable giving it to you, let's be honest, because you don't know what you're doing. And even if you've done 40 deals this year, but you didn't do a $2.5 million transaction yet, then they're going to look at you the same way and say, I don't know. I know she's my friend, but I don't feel that comfortable. It's going to happen inside their brain. So by hitting it right out of the gate, by leveraging how awesome you are, how great your company that has your back is, how amazing your brand is, how awesome the parent company is, you're just building up that credibility to do it. If you're a stellar rock star agent, but you're going after that $4 million expired, break out the guns, guys, and talk about how Realogy does more of the larger transactions than any other brand and any other company on the planet, right? You have so much to leverage, so much to leverage. And I want to see us collectively do more because, guys, this is a competitive marketplace. Depending on the headlines that you're reading, there's all kinds of misinformation bullshit everywhere. It's a great market, it's a bad market. It's a great time to buy, it's a terrible time to buy. Millennials are buying, millennials are never going to buy. Baby boomers are getting rid of their houses, they're buying more houses. All kinds of stuff going on, and it's all irrelevant. So what we need to do is this, and this is what we're going to chat about a little bit before here, Craig. These are the steps. First thing we're going to work on this morning.
Let me just say this though too, because I like to say this because it's really important. And the slogan is awareness gives you flexibility. Flexibility gives you options, and options give you power. You're going to hear me say that a lot, right? So when you tune into Next Level University for the next 3 days, and when you get engaged with our daily content, and you see the power of the management series, you're going to be introduced to with most of them today. Engage is the key, because as you engage, we're going to expose you to new things to become aware of, and that awareness will give you flexibility to either adapt it into your business or not, right? And that flexibility will give you power, options, and that options will give you strength or power, right? So this engagement is really cool, and I just want to make it aware. We're making you aware that Realogy is part of our wheelhouse. We're making you aware of what C21 as an organization does, making you aware of what Beggins Enterprises does, right? And these are all designed, and in the end, it's all going to come together, and you are get a bulletproof presentation that should beat anybody on the planet.
No doubt about it. And leverage all the partners too. I mean, inside of Beggins Enterprises now, we've got Beggins Enterprises as a company. We have List with Beggins. We have B3. We also have ownership and title companies, mortgage companies. We've got what you need. Insurance, we've got the home warranties. We've got what people need. So you're walking in with a loaded gun. Use it. That's the whole point. So where we're going to go here is this step, these processes here. We're going to get a clear head. Okay. And that's kind of what we're doing now is I want you to see the opportunity the way and amazing as it is right now. It is unbelievable, the ability that you have to create wealth right now for yourself, for your family, for your kids, generational wealth. We've never had the opportunity like we have it right now. And I want you to pay attention and get clear on this thing because it's so abundant and so clear. We just have to sometimes clear our heads out on this one. And we're going to work on that a lot. Then we're going to get a clear why. And I wrote the letter Y, and so I spelled it out, and you'll see why in a little bit when Chris joins us in the next presentation. The why is so important of what you're doing this for. I had a great coaching earlier this week, actually the end of last week, and with an agent who's been with us for a little while, and she's had a little bit of a roadblock, right? Sound familiar, anybody? And she was like, it's not working. I've got 12 good leads right now, but no one's pulling the trigger, and I need to generate some cash. Okay. And then, so of course, taking a long story short, but it goes down to, okay, what's going on with these 12 leads? I mean, we dissected the leads and we figured out that 2 of them were real leads. The rest of them were kind of lookers and they kind of wanted to buy, but nobody had to buy. There's none of them actually had to buy to the point where she knew she was going to get a contract this week, which is going to result in a paycheck for next month, which is going to feed the kids and the family, right? So because this person actually needs income from this career to do this. So we just got really clear on the why, and we got really clear on the what are we doing this for, and what are the other options, right? Get out of the business. Let's walk down that path. Let's talk to you what a quote unquote real job looks like, and what you're going to make from that real job. And sure, it's safe, and sure, it's dependable, and you got a check every 2 weeks, but it's a shitty check. Right? And let's talk about what it's going to do for your life, and what are you going to do for your kid, and what kind of options do you want to do, and do you want to actually send them to have the option to better their education and safety and experiences and travel, and get down to the point of, yes, this is the best option for creating income, and this person is good. She's done listings, she's done sales, she's done closing, she knows what to do. She just had 12 leads, right, that were clogging her brain, because the reality of it is she thought she had 12 leads. She didn't have crap. Nobody has to transact right now, which is just she's got a whole ball of nothing, a pile of nothing, and there's no closings coming. So guess what the end result of that coaching session was, Craig?
Talk to more people and find new leads.
Yes. Get to work. Get clear on, do you really want this to happen for you? And you need 2 transactions a month. That's it. We need to find one person every 14 days to do something. And that's not a hard thing when you're real. So we diced it down and figured out what you needed to do. So we had to clear our head out. We had to get a clear why. Then we had to pick a lane, right? And we're going to talk about a whole different lanes. And you have to pick a lane in order to get good right now, guys. You have to. There's too many. Remember that first picture we showed with all of those different intertwining overpasses and lanes and left, right? It's overwhelming. You could buy leads from 100 different sources right now that are all trying to sell you crap. Your phone rings all day long, right? You could do Fizzbuzz, you could do Expireds, you could do Sphere, you could do Social, you could do DoorKnock, you could do this, you could do Boomtown, you could buy Zillow, you could do Realtor, you could do all kinds of stuff, and all of them work, but not until they're done consistently. So once we pick the lane that's going to work for you, and here's what we're going to do when we pick the lane. We're going to pick the lane that is the easiest in the world for you to do. It's the path of least resistance. Why is it the path of least resistance? Because anything that you're going to resist, you're not going to do. So we're going to find what's the one thing you're going to actually appreciate doing and actually going to commit to doing, and you're going to do that, just that, for the next 90 days. And then we're going to practice the process, because every lane has a process. How do you prepare? How do you prospect? How do you pre-qualify? How do you prepare? How do you present? How do you close? How do you process? How do you do that in every one of these transaction paths that we're going on? And then once you practice, we're going to practice the process. So, you know, I'm so glad to meet you. Let me explain to you how I run my business. Here's how we do it. Blah, 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 blah. Here's my lender. Here's my pre-qual. Here's my script. Here's how I do my CMAs. Here's how you got to have the process down so you go on autopilot across the board. And we're going to talk a lot about that next couple of days. Then we're going to talk about how you prospect. Then we're going to talk about preparation. Then we're going to talk about the actual presentation. Then we're going to talk about how to close, when it's the appropriate time for that, or when a natural transaction is going to happen, which you're going to see is really the close. Then we're going to repeat that. Okay. So that's really the process here. What have you noticed, Craig, from those that are picking lanes?
They're finding joy, they're finding confidence, they're finding competence, and their business is going up. And that's all you can ask for, because other than that, there's just too many options, and you dabble in this and you dabble in this, and the alternative is frustration, doubt, gloom, and pretty much vaporization. I mean, you just dissolve.
You vaporize? I didn't ever put that in the accountability plan. I like it though. But you know what? But you do, because here's the worst part about this business. And those of you watching this, pay attention here for a second. How many of you can guarantee the next source of your business that you don't know of right now? Not the lead you have, but the next person that comes to you. Where the hell is he coming from? That's scary. Is it a buyer? Is it a seller? Is it a small house? Is it a big house? Is it a vacation property or primary residence? What is it? Is it a FSBO? Is it an expired? If you don't know, I hope you're scared. Okay, because you're at the whim of other people, hoping that they think about you. That's not a business, right? That's not a business. So I need to make sure, we need to make sure that you are simple, focused, and you know that my business is going to come from this lane. And I know I control that lane because this is my price point. These are my people. This is what I'm dealing with. And this is where it's coming from. It could be from your past clients, could be from your sphere, could be from a farm, could be from social, could be from targeting, could be duplexes, could be triplexes, could be people from New York. I don't care what it is, but every one of them goes. So that's what I want to make sure comes out of these next few days, is that clear laser focus on what we're going to do. Because when we get back together, the end of this quarter, preparing for Q4, we're going to adjust or stay the course. That's kind of where we're going to go on this one. It's kind of fun on this.
I think I just want to say this too. These are fundamentals, right? And they're not boring. I mean, they're not exciting. They're not sexy, but they're real. When you get these fundamentals down pat is when you grow your business. You know, I see a lot of people trying to grow into teams and build businesses in different ways. You don't get to that point until you master the fundamentals, right? You don't need a team of agents helping you grow your business until you have a source of business to generate to feed a team, right? So all that growth comes from the implementation of the fundamentals. And when you don't implement the fundamentals, you don't fulfill any of your goals. And it needs to be said. The 60% of our agents that are below poverty level have not mastered the fundamentals. The 40% that have are crushing it and are loving their lives in their industry, right? So I know it's not romantic or sexy. We're teaching you things that you have to do, but these are fundamentals to grow the business you said you wanted to grow, right? And if you've been in the business for 2 or 3 years and you haven't reached success yet, then it's because you haven't mastered the fundamentals, right? So that's what we're going to focus on first. And the best way to master the fundamentals is to pick one and get really good at it. And then if you change your mind and you want to learn another, you learn the fundamentals of another and see if that makes you feel better. So it's a constant lesson of learning fundamentals and evaluating if you like it. There's plenty of options. If you like, try FSBOs for a quarter. I mean, Jeff and I know that if I wanted to go after FSBOs for a quarter, I'd probably get 15 or 20 listings in the next 90 days. Right? But if I started playing with FSBOs and expired and doing social this and that, I probably wouldn't get very much business at all. But I'd get better and better and better. My fundamental strength would go up if I focused on FSBOs for just an idea period. So I just like to call out the truth. We're not making it easy for you. You have to do work. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to practice because you're learning fundamentals.
Absolutely. Here's a goal that I want everyone to kind of work towards. Okay. And it's appointments. Okay. Because this is the name of the game. This is the holy grail. This is the victory, is sitting with a client. Now, a lot of times it's sitting with a client means this right now. And this is fantastic. To be able to do listing presentations like this is amazing. To be able to do buyer showings like this is a freaking blessing, guys. Yes. Right? Embrace it. Right. I could go online to Google Earth and show you the churches and the grocery stores and the boat ramps and the kayak launches and everything right here. And I could show you 100 houses in the next 40 minutes. And there's no way we could do that. And wait till we get to the buyer side in the next couple of days. It's amazing. And the listing presentation is going to be done this way too. Your effectiveness and your efficiency rates just went huge through the roof. Right. It's awesome. And I really, really, really want you to think about this. Do you have any clue how much your life can change over the next 90 days? I'm so proud of so many agents that we have working with us right now that have turned it on and have put in the last 90 days, 10, 12, 14, 15, 20 transactions up on the board, guys, from a concerted effort, throttled down to take advantage of the opportunity right now. And the average check's about what, $7,000? So if you put 10 deals together over the next 90 days, guys, that's $70,000. That's a couple $100,000 a year. We have the opportunity in front of us now we've never ever seen before. So let's pay attention to it. So here's what we have in store for the next few days for you guys. This is our agenda. So today is a kind of our opening session, me, Craig, and I. Chris Reed is going to join me shortly. We're going to go into mindset matters, which I think you're going to get so much out of, and just realizing how to unlock and untrap yourself is pretty cool. Then Craig's going to join back with me. We're going to go over the art of real estate, which is a really cool simplified way to take control over your quarter, and it's pretty much bulletproof. Then we're going to talk about the need for discipline and a schedule, and you're going to get a really cool treat here because Thomas Simmons is an unbelievable sales trainer. He's one of the vice president of sales for Lennar, right? New Homes, who now works with us as a partner of us in our Brandon office. Deb Haley has been with us for many, many years, and she's an amazing, amazing person to learn from. So they're going to go over discipline and creating a schedule. And then Mike Puma and Otis are going to close out the day. Today, we're talking about social, and it's basic social today. It's 101. So if you don't need 101, you don't need it. But a lot of you should watch 101 because I bet you there's things you're not doing right now. Then tomorrow is going to get into how are we actually going to get business, right? Today is getting our mind right. Tomorrow is getting business. So we're going to go through the art of attraction and attracting people and connecting with people. And Chris and I are going to do a really good job to open up tomorrow. Then we're going to have creating the client experience with Joe Diener and Ashley. And Ashley, these are two people that are solely focused on giving the best customer experience you could ever get. Then Mike Puma and Otis are going to come back about how to create and distribute social content. And it's awesome when you see what they're doing. It's special to watch. And then Chris Reed and I are going to do for sale by owners and expireds after lunch break tomorrow from 1 to 2. And then we're going to have how to leverage and use Remind. And these things inside of Remind are amazing. One thing today, the Social 101 is going to go into Google My Business, which if you guys aren't using Google My Business, you need to make sure you're in that class because it is such an untapped tool. People aren't using the way that they should. So you're going to see that. So then we're going to wrap up Remind and then building farms. And Deb, Haley, and Thomas are going to go through really cool things. And Thomas was actually going through a couple of things with me when we were kind of rehearsing. And it's amazing. Tools you've never seen for digital door knocking and farm creations. It's going to be awesome. And day 3 is where we're going to wrap it all together and we're going to close some deals. And the listing process is Chris and I are going to go through that from once you get the appointment, how do we walk through the steps till we close it? Then we're going to go mastering scripts, right? And actually it's Thomas is going to join me for mastering scripts. And we're going to go through a few scripts. We're going to show you the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the screw ups and the successes that you need to work in to master your scripts. We're going to do the listing presentation. Chris and I are going to actually do live listing presentations via Zoom right now, the way it's working today and how that's actually going to work. Whereas then Joe Diener and I are going to role play buyer presentations and we're going to go back and forth. And then once we get people making a decision, now it's time to close it all up. And Craig and Kathleen Long, Kat's one of our great managers. She's also an attorney and she's going through this process on how to actually write a contract. Craig, you've mastered this and nailed this down to as simple as it can ever be. And then once you've written it, it's all the tips and tricks on how to negotiate in today's world, hitting the acceleration clauses, what to do with the escrows, how you're going to write it. Is it as is it far bar? What's the timing? What's the this? What's that? All those little tricks. So there's an amazing amount of content over the next few days. And we're super stoked to be able to bring that to you there.
There's a lot of content.
There is a lot. All right. So what do you hope everybody gets out of the next couple of days, Craig?
I just wanted to do a little housekeeping. So this training link is the same link for all of these classes.
Yes.
So you can just simply keep the monitor open, stay in all day, or you can log out, log back in, whatever you feel comfortable doing, right? I was just checking to see if Chris is online, and he is. So we're going to probably try to end these at the 5 minute before the hour, give everybody a little bio break, adjust, and then start right on time on the hour, every hour as we go. Is that how we're going to do it?
Yep, exactly right. I got one more slide I want to wrap up with this on this one, because Craig, you'll appreciate this one. This is something that I want to make sure that you guys really pay attention to this one, because it's those 3 words on the top have got to permeate your life right now, especially with everything that's going on. And it's all as well. Okay. So this is a word most people aren't going to use inside of real estate. So talk about that. So Craig, I said the goal is enlightenment as a brokerage and as people. So I'm not talking voodoo religious stuff here. What do we mean from like an enlightened real estate agent or brokerage?
It's really all your mindset. You know, we do talk about the law of attraction. We do talk about the universe, but it's a belief that all is well. Things happen for a reason, all for the betterment of your life. And if you look at it that way, you can determine your own psyche. You know, sometimes you miss the listing presentation, right? That's okay. All is well. You missed that one. What did you learn from it? Sometimes you get a listing presentation and it's amazing how the cards fell in line and that just happened for you, right? Miracles happen all along the way when you have an enlightened perspective. So the enlightened perspective is simply just to take all the drama away. We like drama-free real estate. Things happen. It's okay. Let's just keep on keeping on. Things are going to evolve, and things are happening for a reason, and all is well.
Perfect summary on it. A couple other notes. Practice total and complete acceptance of all people at all times, including myself. Right? This is important too. You get a deal falling apart, like Craig said, it's fine. The guy's being a jerk. No, he's not. He's just being him. So just let him be what he is, right?
Well, that's especially important now because, you know, we all have opinions on the coronavirus. And, you know, I'm watching people driving in their cars with their mask on by themselves, right? And to me, that's kind of weird. Why are you wearing a mask when you're in your car alone? But to them, it's totally normal. So who am I to judge that person for doing that? They're welcome to do it. Some people are walking around the grocery store without a mask on at all, which is really rude, in my opinion. But that person doesn't seem the problem, right? So it's not your job to police everybody. Your job is to practice total and complete acceptance of all people at all times, including yourself, which is sometimes hard for many of us to do. And then it falls into having the belief that people are doing the best they can based on the perspective they have at the time. You remember the story of the paradigm shift? If you've ever read Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he's talking about this woman whose child is totally out of control on the bus, and the woman's doing nothing to control this kid. And the couple's just really pissed off that this woman's being so rude and not taking taking care of her child. And as the story progresses, it turns out she is just leaving the hospital. Her father, the child's father, had just died. And she was going home after just finding this out. So she was stunned to death. And the child was berserk because they just lost their father. So the paradigm shift was, how rude of that woman not to do this. So I feel so sorry for her. That's a terrible thing to happen to her. So all people are doing the best they can based on the perspective they have at the time. So at the time, the couple was rude, but then they were forgiving, right? It's all based on the perspective. So let that, and your life will just become a lot easier.
Right. Well, that's a tough example there.
It's in the book. I didn't make it up.
No, it's a good story there, but it's things. So here's the thing: you do you, guys. That's what this is all about, and just figure out what you want. So this last line here is what I think is drives me, and I'm so pumped for these next few days. I can't even tell you. I'm so excited about it because it's all about this. Let's find the version of you that puts a big ass smile on your face. That's all this is about. We're going to find out what version of your life should you be living, and then let's go freaking live it, right? If it requires a little more income, let's go get some more income, right? If it requires less drama, get rid of some drama, right? Have a fun life. Let's put a big ass smile on our face and let's have a really good time. And we're going to do that. And we're going to teach you all the skills. We're going to give you everything we have over the next few days, as always. And we're just stoked that you guys are here. So that's what we're going to do on this one. So we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to join, Chris Reed is going to join in with me, and we're going to get into some really cool mindset things. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned and get ready. We're going to have an amazing, amazing day together. So stay tuned. We'll be back with you at 10 o'clock, which is 2 minutes away. So quick bio break if you need one to go stretch and hang out, and see you right back.